Welcome, everyone, to the March 15th webinar, The Pursuit of Balance, Finding Your Recipe to Wellness. We're delighted to have wonderful friends of ours in the foundation, Angela and Karl Robb, and I'll introduce them in just a moment. I'm Casey Peluso from Parkinson Foundation, Western Pennsylvania, and I'm joined by my colleagues, David Von Hofen and Christine Haythorne. We also have Emily and Lauren, who are busily working on other projects right now. Okay, so Angela and Karl Robb have been on this Parkinson's journey for over 30 years. Karl was diagnosed with Parkinson's over 30 years ago, and he and Angela will be sharing their experience with Parkinson's, how they continue to balance and adapt their lives. They're very inspirational and encouraging people, and as a couple, they are as well. Karl was diagnosed actually at the age of 23. And now at the age of 55, he's a Parkinson's disease advocate, entrepreneur, inventor, Reiki master, and author of 2 books, A Soft Voice in a Noisy World, and Dealing and Healing with Parkinson's Disease and Other Health Conditions. He also wrote these books with his wife and care partner, Angela. He has blogged for 13 years on his website, A Soft Voice. He's a community team member to Parkinson'sDisease.net, a board member of both the Parkinson Voice Project and Parkinson Social Network. Angela Robb is Karl's wife of 25 years, co-editor of asoftvoice.com, community team member at Parkinson's Disease Net, and a Reiki master as well. She has advocated for caregiver issues through various regional and national Parkinson's conferences, writing for the Every Victory Counts manual by Davis Finney Foundation and presenting at the World Parkinson Congress. And in 2015, Angela was honored at the White House as a champion of change in Parkinson's disease. We're so delighted to have you both today. Thank you so much for being wonderful friends of PFWPA. And for everyone, if you have questions throughout the presentation, go ahead and use the chat feature, and Karl and Angela will address those during breaks in their presentation, as well as at the end of the presentation. Thank you, and take it away.
Thanks, Casey.
Thanks, Casey. Thank you for joining us today. We're so honored to be speaking with you today.
We would love to be in person, but through the power of Zoom, we're there with you all. And
yes.
Thank you, David. Well, we've known David for quite some time and just met Christine. So we're big fans of what you all do in your community, and it's our privilege and honor to talk with you today. So I'm going to share my screen to pull up the presentation. So Casey, if anything looks weird, you're gonna let me know. And here we go. Yeah. I think we're good. Thumbs up. Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Well, we hope to provide you with some ideas, tools, and inspiration that you can take with you and pursue further.
Yes, we certainly hope that there's something that you can gather today in this presentation. Pursuing balance is something that we work at every single day, and we thought that might be, after hearing Dr. McDaniel's last month, who did an excellent job, encourage you to go listen to his recording. It kind of put us in this perspective that balance is something that we're always working on, whether we're a care partner or a person with Parkinson's. So
the key word is pursuit.
Yes. It is something that I think both of us are going to soon confess that neither one of us have totally found it yet.
So. But we're getting there, and we've made changes in our lives that have gotten us closer to that. So we hope today to present you with some ideas and maybe we can laugh a little bit, learn a little bit, and leave inspired. I,
Oops, dyskinesia.
Dyskinesia.
It'll settle down in a second.
I don't think I knew what balance was until I strangely, inadvertently fell in my lap to some point. My,
As Casey did as Casey did in her intro,
Right.
Carl's been living with Parkinson's for over 30 years.
my first symptoms were at age 17, but it took me and I wasn't sure what was going on. It took me 6 years and 9 different doctors to get diagnosed at age 23. And between all that, the time I thought maybe there was no internet.
There wasn't any internet 30 years
Yeah.
ago? That's hard to believe.
Yeah, so my resources were limited to librarians and friends who had who knew doctors I could talk to, and
Well, and the other thing was that you had young onset Parkinson's,
young onset Parkinson's.
which is a different flavor in some respects.
so I gave myself. I thought for sure I had something wrong with my brain, like a brain tumor or something that I didn't tell anybody else, but I just kind of it was a long term trying to deal with the symptoms, not knowing what was going on. So when I was take a sip of water. Excuse
Yeah,
me.
let's get a sip of water. So it took Carl 6 years and at least 9 different doctors, 9 that he could remember. There might have been more, but to get a diagnosis, because many of the doctors thought he was too young to have Parkinson's disease.
And what one doctor even told me to have a beer and chill out. And I was in college at the time, so that's not what I needed to hear. But over time, I made changes in my life that led up to getting better. I ate better, became a vegetarian, took my pills, and paid attention to what was too much and what was too little for my body. Worked close with my doctors. But
But in 1998,
in 1998, 7 years after my diagnosis, the person I got empowered really by meeting the person who made major change in my life and taught me about balance, and his teachings helped me.
well, he really awakened our
Really,
attention
yeah.
to the fact that balancing the mind and the body and the spirit
Right.
was really important, no matter you're living with Parkinson's or other conditions, or just life in general. So that
Yes.
really was an awakening point for both of us.
Yeah, it was
And we're still working on it, as we mentioned in the opener.
every day.
Every single day. Well, even sometimes every single moment.
Yeah.
Certainly preparing for a talk like this, we have to think about balance as we try to pull the ideas together and create for you all hopefully a presentation that you find to be helpful to you.
And everyone's balance is gonna be different, and the way the world affects us all differently. Our personal issues, our diets, our medical makeup. It's
It's all connected.
what we watch, what we listen to, or what we read.
Well, and I have to say that at the time that Carl was introduced to this concept of balancing the mind, the body, and the spirit, I too really hadn't thought about that as part of my life. And so when he came to this epiphany, it also hit me at the same time, because I met the same teacher that Carl met. We were actually together at that same initial meeting. And from that point forward, I began to start to think about my life and how out of balance it was, and try to do some things to correct that in order to live a better life for myself. And the thing that always brings me back is the fact that I know that trying to get closer to balance actually helps me live better and feel better. So that's what drives me to work hard every day to do so. Next slide.
Next slide.
Next slide.
We all have recipes for what we eat and what we drink, but why don't we have a recipe for wellness while living with Parkinson's? Uh, and once again, everyone's recipe is going to be different,
Absolutely.
and everyone's solutions are going to be different.
Well, just like everybody's Parkinson's is different. Everybody
Yes.
has a different flavor of the condition and takes different medicines, etc.
And it's about building your own recipe, and, which means adding options.
Well, just like the picture on the screen says, it's a variety that helps us find the options that resonate with us or feel good to us. And the more options we have to choose from, the better off we will be in crafting a plan to bring balance into our lives. We can't remain stagnant. We have to continue to look for these options. When we find one that works for us, that's great. But as we know, Parkinson's can change, life can change. So there's always this possibility you might need to adapt your choices as things move along.
But you need to try something. You can't avoid. You can't avoid. You, I love my couch, but it's
He does.
but there's a time and place for your couch, and
And sitting on the couch isn't going to make your Parkinson's
go
necessarily
no,
better. Yeah.
No.
Well, and the same thing goes as a care partner. There are opportunities where, we may feel like that we need to slow things down, but sitting on the couch for us isn't necessarily beneficial to us either.
Be open to try something new and different, with caveats. But first, an open mind can lead you to some tools in your toolbox that you need to know what were available.
Well, and Carl, you always use the analogy about the tree in the wind.
Well, the tree in the wind bends. The ones that don't bend break, and
And we certainly we want to be as flexible as we can be. And if that's one thing about Parkinson's, we're always trying to adapt and have plan A, B, and Z, as we like to say, or triple Z some days for sure. But the other important component is really the attitude. What is your attitude when having to think about adapting and maybe making some changes in our lives to adapt to the ups and downs of Parkinson's? And that goes for the person with Parkinson's and also the spouse, partner, care partner, family members too. And also our attitude.
that can dictate a whole cadre of elements of your personality, of how you look at things.
Well, and you had that, it was a third or fourth grade teacher who,
He said, attitude, attitude, attitude. It's all about your attitude.
and he was right. It took.
I used to make fun of him, but the more I thought about it, he was right. Because your attitude dictates your the way you look at everything. It molds your perspective, and your perspective is crucial to your how you move forward.
And how you cope.
And how you cope.
But at the same, and with that said, as we, at the bottom one, it says sprinkle in some gratitude, compassion, and patience. Well, I think one of the hardest challenges, whether you have a chronic condition or not, is being compassionate and towards yourself, and also being patient towards yourself. I know I personally can be I'm more critical of myself sometimes than I am of other people, and when that starts to get out of hand, it sometimes makes life a challenge. And then I do try to find gratitude in everyday things, like you always say. It's the small things that make a huge difference.
Well, little things aren't so little. Little things can mean a lot. that's one thing Parkinson's has taught me is little things aren't so little, and to take it, be appreciative for the the, the things we don't normally think about. Clean air, clean water, a roof over your head, food on the plate. It's there's watch the news and that adds more stress, but it also makes you realize what's your place in the world.
Well, I think one of our fellow people with Parkinson's in the community, Davis Finney, always says it's the small victories as well.
Yeah.
So even a small success can bring a lot of personal gratitude as well.
Whether it's getting out of bed or not having your good days and your better days.
Well, and even brushing your teeth can be a huge challenge for some folks on
Yeah.
some days, and definitely in these last couple years with COVID, COVID has even brought additional challenges, which
Isolation and
yeah.
which we'll get into.
But as we told Casey, Christine, and David before we started today, one blessing that came out of all of this is Zoom.
We're
so
here.
we're here.
Thank
so we're grateful for these opportunities. And Casey, I'm going to pause here. It's kind of a opportunity before we go into the next set of slides. Do we have any questions in the chat?
No questions right now.
Okay. Well, folks,
We'll
put them in there. We'll get them on the next go around. Thanks, Casey.
take
Thank
the
you.
questions, and if we don't know the answer, we'll make it up.
Or as Carl said, just praise only.
This is an important slide.
We really tried to encompass the areas that we thought we really needed to focus on balance the most, and there's a lot of text on here, so we apologize. You should have seen the version before this one.
Take it in small bites.
Exactly.
All these processes are intertwined, and really, if one falls, it can affect the rest of the pack. You really need. It's like juggling cat. Not juggling.
Juggling cats.
It's like spinning plates or juggling. It takes some work and some discipline and time and effort. I often say Parkinson's is a full-time job, and it really needs your attention to keep it in check. And these are all kind of the things that the mind, body, and spirit connection, and how they're intertwined, and the things that are affected, and things that can need to be balanced.
Well, and this not only goes with the person with Parkinson's, but also to the partner, spouse, family members as well. A lot of times we get so caught up in supporting our loved one with Parkinson's that sometimes we forget about these particular areas as well. The mind, body, spirit, and the emotional wellness are really the core of our being and ourselves that we need to focus on and try to balance. But it's not tackling doing 4 things in each category all at once is not what we want to do.
No.
We certainly don't want to overwhelm you, but the optimal would be, do you do one of these, one item for all 4 of these areas each day?
Yeah.
And
Small bites.
small bites is the way to go. Certainly, for the body, a lot of it is taking care of the body, whether it's a physical or physical therapy, exercise, speech therapy. Are you getting checkups, not just from your neurologist or movement disorder specialist, but are you seeing all your specialists on your care team?
Are you breathing? Just breathing for your stress and anxiety. I can't say it enough that stress is a huge part of Parkinson's, and if you can lower your stress level and find something that lowers your stress level, everything gets better. your uh, your whole system seems to function better, and your symptoms seem, for me at least, I speak for myself that when I can get my stress under control, my whole being, my my all my symptoms get better. It just there's a direct correlation.
Well, with that, your spirit gets better as
Spirit,
well,
spirit.
and definitely during COVID, that's probably been one of the hardest challenges is keeping our spirits up, and that spirit kind of fits in both the emotional category and the spiritual category. But what does nourish you? What do you find brings you joy? Is it talking with friends on the phone? Is it connecting with your fellow boxers at your Rock Steady group? Is it possibly getting on a Zoom chat with coffee with your fellow support group members?
Writing, taking pictures, sharing, cooking,
Art.
art.
All of those things kind of nourish the spirit, but also help us hit another category or two that's on this list.
Mood.
But it's finding something that feels good to you and brings you the support and balance that you're looking for. And if you a lot of times, even if you just tackle one item in one particular area, the positivity of that radiates through all these other different areas, and things do get better. But it is a journey. I have to say that, as you'll see on the next slide, I have a long list of things that I do, but honestly, it took me decades to build that list. It was not an overnight thing. So pace yourself and be.
Don't get overwhelmed or stressed about it, but take take it take it take the journey and stay with it. I don't think we got sick. I don't think we got Parkinson's overnight, and it probably will take longer. It'll take time to make the changes, but you'll see benefits.
Absolutely. Go to the next slide.
So, as mentioned earlier, my solutions will be my solutions will be different than yours.
Yes, everybody's Parkinson's is different, so everybody's solution or recipe is going to be different. It's really what resonates for you, what feels good to you. So really, the opportunity is to find something that works for you. As I mentioned just a minute or two ago, that it took me a long time to build my particular list, and I have to say there's a lot of stuff on here that I nixed in order to pick other stuff up. You could say that too.
And a lot of things I tried that aren't on the list that I didn't keep up with because I what didn't may have worked for me for a little while, but didn't resonate for me long term. So these are things that I have stayed with.
That we're using
I'm
currently.
still using currently and finding benefit from.
I mean, some of these items are, unfortunately, some of them are covered by insurance and some aren't. Some we pay out of pocket. Years ago, we went to a Parkinson's conference. I think it was a Davis Finney Victory Summit, and Dr. Matt Ford was talking about one of the best things you could do for yourself is hire a personal trainer. And we do that. Karl and I both attend the sessions together, but the trainer actually does things that benefit us both, which is nice. So the workouts are kind of curtailed to help us both with our particular needs, but we pay for that out of pocket. It's not cheap by any stretch, but it's something that's necessary and has brought us a lot of benefits. So is it worth giving up some nights out for well, we haven't been going out anyway with COVID, but worth some night dinners, the cost of dinner, in order to get some training that's adapted to us?
We've seen the payoff and the benefit is working for us. So hopefully we can keep it keep it a part of our routine and photography. I love taking pictures.
And there's one on the screen.
That's one of them. If if you this is one of my motivation Mondays. Um, but yeah, there you have some of this is basic self care, and some of it's things that you wouldn't normally think about. Um, but try, but massage has helped me a great deal in stress. Um,
And help with the dystonia. That's the
dystonia.
other thing, because Carl does have dystonia. Having Parkinson's for so long, dystonia has become a thing, and
My shoulders.
we're not quite sure if it's all Parkinson's or age related.
I,
That's one thing that we say. We have done some adaptations based on the fact that we're, unfortunately, we don't say it very often, but we're aging.
so you have, sometimes the question comes: is it Parkinson's or is it aging?
Oh, congratulations for saying that.
Thank you.
He doesn't want to admit it, but you know,
Well,
I don't want to either.
well, I read an article on that.
But it is a challenge. Unfortunately, that's something we're noticing is
Yeah,
as things move along.
but it's part of life.
It is part of life, exactly. And our objective here is not to provide you with the solutions. We, as Carl mentioned earlier, we want you to find the solutions that work best for you.
Imagine, as you showed, David was showing our workbook. Someone told us, I like your workbook, but you don't provide the answers. It's like, no, I don't provide the answers. It's more walking you through the questions. You provide the answers. I'm just the catalyst to build the questions, and it's up to you to give the answers.
Exactly. Oh, I think I see a question in the chat, Carl. So,
Okay.
Casey, do we have a question in the chat?
Yes, I will be glad to read it to you. Can you walk us through an example of a time when you were struggling and the small bites you took to deliberately bring balance and an improved outlook?
That's a good
Very
question.
good question.
Um,
Well, the first one that comes to mind,
Mom.
yeah, the
Yeah.
counselor. Yeah. Do
Yeah.
you want to start, or do you want me to start?
I'll start. After a couple years.
Well, I'll start with 2009.
Yeah,
Carl's
yeah,
mom
yeah,
passed away in December of 2009.
Yeah, and we were both. It was a very sad time for us, and of course, and we didn't realize at the time that we were bickering.
Oh yeah, we were bickering. We didn't communicate well at all with each other.
No, communication was not at its. We've been married 25 years.
Well, and then at that time we were, married 13 years. So we, we started to notice that there was this problem where we not only do we work together, but we also live together. So we started to notice that there was something going on, and we weren't quite sure. So Carl hit the web.
And I found a third party who I thought could help us, and sure enough, it made a difference.
Yeah, we sought the counsel of a counselor who we worked with for, I think it was about 2 months,
Yeah.
who helped us realize that it was the grief that was kind of getting in the way of us communicating with each other. So she was kind enough to give us some tools that we still use today. So it was a small change for a short period of time, but we're still feeling the effects of it today. And Carl just lost his father last November. So we've entered another period of grief along with some other friends that we lost during the last year and early this year. So we're still using those tools even today to cope with the grief.
Yeah, not to mention the loss of our 11-year-old lab,
And that was 2 years ago, and we're still
so we're still
grieving
good
for
with
that
that.
as
Yeah,
well.
but it's been a tough 3 years. But
Yeah.
but those tools have kept kept us afloat.
And I would say it's the self awareness that helps us realize that something's going on, and we
Yeah.
do try to catch it early and not let it go too far to
And
bring things back into balance.
and talk and be able to talk about it.
And like grief itself, it kind of goes up and down. So there are days where we don't do as well with it, and there are days that we do really well with it. And but we try to be kind and compassionate to ourselves and acknowledge the fact that it's part of the process of going through it.
And every day is different. Like Parkinson's is every day, not and every day is the same with Parkinson's, and so yeah, it's a clean slate. Every day is pretty much a clean slate. Yeah.
So I hope we answered that.
Yeah.
I hope they like the answer with that, Casey.
Yeah. But,
Thanks for reading that
yes.
to us.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Don't be afraid to ask for ask for help, because we rely on those close to you in your inner circle, and as well as building your team, because having a team behind you is necessary, because I don't have all the answers myself.
Nope, I don't have all the answers either. So yeah, the team has been vitally important to us as well.
If I had all the answers, I'd be on Jeopardy.
Well, if we had all the answers, we get those Powerball numbers, we'd be totally on an island somewhere. Oh, the gold. Okay, I'm gonna go to the next slide.
So, one of my favorite quotes is "Dirty Harry" from Magnum Force. So, man's got to know his limitations, and I know people who push their limitations and paid the price for it, and either were in denial or didn't want to face the facts. Sometimes you need to be a little easier on yourself and take the easy way out. And the fact that if you're gonna take an elevator, instead of taking the steps or taking the escalator, just taking the elevator can be easier on yourself. If you need a walking stick, don't use one. If you need help at the airport, ask for help. Help is people want to help you.
Yes, it takes a village. I mean, there have been many times. One example comes to mind. We were at I think we were at a gas station gassing up, and I went into the restroom, and Carl was standing outside of the convenience store, and somebody saw him standing there with his walking stick, and they were like, "Can we help you? Is there anything we can do to help you?" And he said, "Oh, I'm fine. I'm just waiting for my wife to come out of the store." And the lovely man came back out and gave you a bottle of water.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
even small things like that are so memorable.
Yeah.
And he didn't know you from anybody else. He just thought that you were in need. So
Yeah.
there's always helping hands out there, and there's nothing wrong with asking for help, whether it's family or friends or professional help, any of those situations.
Or or even strangers, if you need it. People I think are innately good.
Well, and on top of that, I do want to come back to the limitations.
Don't go rock climbing or.
Well, I was going to say more of if you decide to take on a new form of balance, particularly like exercise, please consult your physician or your care team to make sure that is okay for you. We really would not want you to hurt yourself. And certainly, there are certain there are obviously a myriad of health conditions or symptoms of Parkinson's that can affect the whole entire body. So we do want you to be careful, but we do want you to be smart and know what your limitations may be.
Exactly, and pay attention to your body and your mind and your spirit, and know what you what you're liking, what you need. These are all great for someone who doesn't have Parkinson's and uh, young and probably have no family.
Well, and people do ski with Parkinson's, but they
I
do also
yes,
take precautions at the
yes,
same
yes.
time. So,
Beware. Well, it's easy to make excuses. It's easy to give up. It's easy to not to do the work. With Parkinson's, time is of the essence, and doing nothing is probably the worst thing you can do for yourself.
well, and I'll speak for myself, Carl. A lot of times my mind puts more hurdles in front of me than anything else.
Sure.
And so I know I have to really be cautious to not overthink things and to be, as I mentioned before, let my little mind, carry me away thinking that I can't do things because I throw challenges in my way. So, certainly there are times where you might want to seek out some expert help and conquering these challenges. Anxiety and apathy can be a huge component to preventing folks from doing things that they really want to do. And sometimes that requires professional help. And there's nothing wrong with asking for some professional help and counseling. It's really about knowing yourself and listening to your intuition. That can be a huge motivator to help you, but it can also be a hinderer sometimes.
Being willing to being willing to take help. Sometimes I know people who early on get diagnosed and they're just not ready to take on help, and you have to be uh, willing to take on help.
And be honest with yourself,
Yeah.
open and honest with yourself. There's no minus in taking help. It's only a plus, and it might bring you more than you expect.
Well, as long as it, as long as you're getting help from
The right
the
people,
yeah.
right? Exactly.
And wh- this resonated with me that one small change can make a lasting impact, and just as the drop makes the ripple. Um, I know when I was first diagnosed, I was grateful. I was grateful for that. I finally had the diagnosis and the I knew what I was dealing with, and that was a huge relief to know that I wasn't. I had my life in front of me, and this is it's Parkinson's, but I could deal with it. But then they the medicine was making a difference to me, and I'm a very small I'm a very small dosage of Cinemet
Even
still,
today,
even
yeah.
today, um, after 30 years of Cinemet. Um, but they wanted to the doctor wanted to ramp me up on 8 pills a day after 8 weeks, and I was already getting dyskinetic on. Um, I think it was,
Two.
I think it was. I think at the time it was just 1 pill a day,
Mm-hmm.
and so but it was the way I was taking it too. Um, um, and I was getting had mild dyskinesia then. So then I know if I talked to a few doctors before I made the change that that was 8 pills that was just not right for me.
Well, and you also talked to a friend
A
who
friend
had Parkinson's.
a friend who knew the Parkinson's community pretty well, and he said that's it's way too many for you to ramp up on, and I
So he
had
gave
so
you a
he gave me
referral.
a referral, and I had my doctor was my new doctor that I found was all the way across the country, but he confirmed my qualms about going up to ramping up to 8 pills a day, and
But he also taught you a lot about
talking about
Parkinson's and
Parkinson's
caring
and
for
caring for
yourself.
myself, and had I not made that one change, I could be a lot worse off than I am now,
Yeah.
and
And we're both eternally grateful because that was the one drop in the pond that
that
made
made
everything better.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Getting close to the concluding
yes.
here.
You're either in the passenger seat or the driver's seat. You decide. it's important for you to speak up and get off the couch. You can get better. It's about discipline. It's about the commitment to yourself. It's about priorities. It's about thinking outside the box. It's about being flexible and being different. It may take some creativity. It's about dedication to yourself and your loved ones. You owe to yourself and your loved ones to try something even outside your comfort level. I'm not talking about skydiving.
Well, I think the point we're trying to drive home today is it's really about self-care. And many of
Yeah.
us, I will say for myself, I never got a manual for self-care. My parents, they did the best they could with what they had, but it really wasn't an integrated approach to living. Going back to that moment in 1998, it was about work and it was about home life, but it really wasn't much about self-care until we had that great teacher and our lovely friend Gilbert who started us down this road. He didn't give us the answers either. He pointed us in the right direction. And self-care is not selfish. It's vitally important for us to care for ourselves and to think about ourselves and take a moment to get to know what works best for us. And you've got to believe in yourself. And with all those things said, I think you would say that you're actually in some ways better.
I would. I know for a fact that had I not met Gilbert, I'd be much worse off than I am now.
And I would be the same. I learned so much from him and kind of dedicate this to him.
Yeah, yeah. We lost him almost a month.
In January. But he taught us so much, and that's what we hope to share with all of you. So
Yeah.
thank you all so much for listening to
Yes.
us today. And I'll just go to the last slide and say thank you for your time and
Yeah,
attention. We know it's valuable, and
And
you
it's
have
a-
plenty of other things you could be doing.
And,
So thank you.
it's a mess. It's a lot of information in one place. So it's.
Feel free to reach out to us.
If you have questions, reach out to us. There's lots to ponder.
And as Carl said, he would always send him all the praise. Don't send it in.
Send her all the problems.
Exactly. And we are reachable, absolutely reachable. And if you can't reach us, Casey and David know where to find us, and we will make the slides available. And if you think of something afterwards, just let us know. We'd be more than glad to
For
help.
small charge.
I'm sorry about that. Carl's all the time about the charge. I don't think he understands he's getting karma back for this instead of payment. So I'll start sharing, Casey, so we can see everybody. So thank
You two
all.
are so just really an inspiring couple, and I love how you use humor to cope as well.
Well, we try,
Yeah.
I mean, there's plenty of times I think we could get down on ourselves, and like I said, in recent months, dealing with the grief has been really hard, and there were days that we were pretty down on ourselves, but yeah, you can't stay there too long, and if you start to notice you're staying there too long, it's time to get some help. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, you're so welcome. There's a question in the chat box. It's a little more Parkinson specific, but I'd like to ask that question to you, if you don't mind.
Sure.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Carl, when you start your uncontrolled movements, dyskinesia, what do you do to calm yourself down?
There goes the stress, Casey, right? And the dyskinesia goes whoop.
I breathe. I use a hand squeezer on occasion to
You fiddle.
fiddle.
Oh my God, fiddling.
But it's kind of a thing about I find this hand squeezer actually very very beneficial because it seems to calm the
Distraction.
this distraction, but also our friend Gilbert was also our Reiki master. and he's the one to set us on the course to learn Reiki.
So we do use Reiki, Casey, and whoever asked the question,
Yeah.
to sometimes calm him down. You might see, it's hard to see on the camera, but I actually put my hand on his knee or his foot, and I try to act as a grounding force. So I do that sometimes. The breathing helps a lot.
And exactly, both of us were huge skeptics of Reiki, and until we tried it, and it made a huge difference in our lives. And it made I've seen it work for people I've worked on with Parkinson's. Um,
We also have a little bit of mindfulness in there too, right?
Mindfulness,
Meditation too.
yes. I breathe and try and remember my feelings from meditation without meditating on camera.
So yeah.
I guess it's a combination of
Trial and error too.
it take me a long time to. Uh, I used to have 2-hour dyskinesias. Um, but I made changes in my medicine. I made changes in my practices, and I was able to get that down to only when I'm on camera.
Yeah.
No, but no, seriously, I think I'm getting better at getting it under control, but it's taking me a long time to get to this point.
Mhm. And I think that ties into your presentation, especially the part about finding your recipe. And it takes time, and it's trial and error, and it's unique. But that really is quite powerful. So thank you.
Well, we just saw Christine's question come up. Hi,
Okay.
Christine.
Yeah.
Do we always have such grateful and positive spirits?
I would say most of the time we are pretty positive people. Uh, uh, the past 3 years have been trying and testing those the positive thoughts, and it's been a challenge to keeping positive and trying to find the positive, but most of the time I think we are pretty positive.
Yeah, I would say like most people, we really it's a practice.
Yeah.
Just like everything else. You have to use the muscle, and it's the muscle of, coping, and the muscle of compassion for yourself and forgiveness, and then back to the gratitude again. It kind of goes around or goes up and down as things move on. Yeah, it would be really easy to say, oh gosh, everything is so hard. And I think there were days during COVID it was so hard, but eventually we would just kind of pull ourselves out. I would say humor is when you say that. I mean, there were some days, Carl's like, I am so, I feel so dark. Can we just watch that I didn't want to say Steve Hartman. Not Steve Miller, because he's a band guy. Martin Short and Steve Martin do a great Netflix special, and it is
That's
so
so
funny. We would just put it on, even in the middle of the day. We put it on, and I think it's called like A Night You're Sure to Forget, and they are just hilarious. They poke fun at each other, they poke fun at themselves, and they just have a wonderful time, and we laugh, and it elevates the entire mood. Music is the other thing.
And we love music and art, and sometimes just put on Netflix on. We binge watch some of the strangest series, but
Yeah.
stuff outside our usual what we usually watch, and kind of try to expand our horizons a little.
Well, and the reason Carl started the Motivation Monday, where he puts his picture. He takes a picture of his and then either makes up a quote or uses a quote that he said before, is just for that, because we thought there were other people out there that need some motivation. So during the pandemic, we started doing that every day or every Monday, because of the fact we wanted to provide some beauty and some inspiration to everybody. So that's something we've continued to do even this year. So
Yeah.
that was a long roundabout answer, Christine. I'm sorry. You got it? Okay.
Any other questions or comments before we
Can I ask a question? And my situation's a little different, but since we have a team, I think it's more relevant to team and what you were talking about in terms of limitations. One of the things that I'm trying to figure out is what my limitations are, and try to balance that with my wife's need and desire to keep me safe and healthy. We had a big snow ice storm a couple of weeks ago, and I wanted to get the chainsaw out and, cut all the limbs up. And she's, no, absolutely not. And I said, well, how? I mean, I can do it. It's a little electric chainsaw. It's not a big deal. No. And, so, I mean, I want to stay relevant, but at the same time, I need to take into consideration, her feelings. So, how do you guys work with that? Here's probably a better example. Shortly after I got out of the rehab hospital, we had been looking forward to going to a good friend's wedding out in Maryland, actually. And Cindy, I don't know, that just might be too much for you. I said, well, how do we know until we try it? And it turns out we had a fantastic time. We danced, we hung out with friends, and it was wonderful. And had we not gone, I wouldn't have known that I was able to do something like that.
Well, it's a great question, David. We've had similar we had similar talk yesterday. Do we go to the board meeting in Texas, or do we stay and miss the party and the board meeting that we haven't been into in 3 years?
3 years, yeah.
Yeah. So or do we or do we? It's calculated risk. It's was it worth your health? We just had our friend just died after 20 days in the hospital from COVID, and then you hear in the news, well, COVID's going down, and it's not really risky. We have Parkinson's, and there's still a risk there. Is it a risk you need to take? You took the risk, and you got the payoff, and that's a happy ending. But it just was.
Well, I think it's a negotiation. That's
Yeah.
the thing I want to say. That, and it's funny that you mentioned that example about the wedding and then the chainsaw. Because one of the things that we had typed on one of these slides, and we didn't use the slide, was how you cope with Parkinson's is how, as a couple or a partnership or a family member, it's before you have Parkinson's, how did you do that? Yeah. It's the same technique applied to it. Is how did you two negotiate, the back and forth of coming to an answer. And it's always a negotiation. And that's the way our marriage was always set up, that we're equals and it's a negotiation between the two of you. And you have to do the pros and cons, and you have to go back and forth, and it might not be a decision you make in 5 minutes. It might take you 5 hours or 5 days to make the decision. But it's a calculated risk. Yeah, I don't think if there was ice on the ground, and even if it was an electric chainsaw, I would let you go out and be like, cutting up the wait till tomorrow. Maybe it'll be nicer tomorrow to do, versus the ice. I would be so worried for you. Or, we do a little bit of a trial and see how it is, and if it's okay, then we might do a little bit more, or do short segments versus one big long segment that would wear you out and possibly make you tired, and then
Or
more of a chance to fall.
Or fall on the ice.
But it's all negotiation, I think. Does that kind of make?
And ice and Parkinson's is a
Ice in anything
ice in
after a
anything,
certain
yeah.
age is just a thing.
breaking something at this age is scary, and it can be a major setback. And I don't want to. I have enough to contend with that. I don't one extra broken hip or anything, or a broken leg it can be a major setback to where I am now, and that's so I need to weigh the consequences of what could be and what is, and where I'm at now, and there's no formula for it. It just it's
What do you think about that, David?
Yeah, I think the chainsaw is kind of the extreme example. There are smaller things that, and I call them more adventures. And that's not a good idea. And I wanna, be sensitive to, she does such an incredible job of taking care of me. I don't want to put her in a position that she has to worry more about what's going on. But at the same time, there's a life that I have that I want to try to get back into also.
Right.
sure.
Well, and I think little steps, it's back to just doing a little bit, Okay, maybe the chainsaw might be out for now, but later on, maybe it'll be all right. Or is there something you can do that helps you keep your attitude and the self-reliance and all of that, but maybe isn't as risky as, I think it's always this negotiation.
Yeah.
Inside, outside, with the partner, it's always a negotiation. But
Right.
and once again, it's finding what works for you guys in your particular situation.
And focusing on the things you can do, and you can do, and if what you're looking at doing is risky, talk about it and make sure how it's going to affect your everyone, not just you, but everyone else. Is it worth it?
Well, and most of the time she's absolutely right, so I don't battle her much. But once in a while, there's something that I'd like to do that, I don't think she understands that, I need to get out and do things from time to time.
Sure. The same thing with Parkinson's is often our care partners are the voice of reason,
Can I have? Is this being? Oh, thank God, this is being recorded.
I said often. I didn't say always.
No, the often was good enough.
Okay.
Thanks, Casey.
Sometimes.
Let me put on the YouTube, buddy. Do you remember when you told David?
It doesn't mean recorded, is it?
David, I see a trend with you though. In the not too distant past, you were getting on Cindy because she didn't want you on a ladder cleaning gutters. What's next? Gutters, chainsaws?
Motorcycle, that's the next one.
Oh my gosh.
A man's got to know his limitations.
Well, and I'll never forget the time we were at a Parkinson's Action Network meeting. And the company that makes Duopa was it was a
Early
company in Europe. This was this
way
is like 15 years ago. And they just had come to the meeting and showed the video of the man on the ladder
It's a commercial. Yeah.
using the Duopa pump.
And
And everybody in the room gasped because he was on a ladder.
high on a ladder.
"Ooh, Parkinson's on a ladder."
With two dope. It was,
I think all the care partners just passed out at that point. They're like, "Oh no!"
yeah, it was.
It was. I see. It still makes a
It
resonance.
was memorable. Yeah.
Oh, you two are always so inspirational and helpful and informative.
And
Thank you
fun.
so much for your
Okay.
time today.
Thank you. It's been a
Thank
pleasure.
you guys for having us. We're always would love to come back or dive into this more or
Yeah,
something else.
there's-
We really enjoy it. It makes us happy too.
It's a kind of our mission to educate and share what we learned.
And now we're driving to David's house. We're gonna help with the limbs.
Okay. We'll see you all there.
I'll be waiting for Reiki.
Okay.
You're on.
Yeah, that's been on pause too, Christine, with the
Yeah.
close with the COVID. Yeah, so that's
Actually, we have a lot of raking to do around the house too, so.
okay. You're on. Rain check.
Reiki and Reiki. I like that.
Well, I have no problem with raking because it's not raking's not so dangerous. So.
Wah wah.
Sometimes we go up in the trees and rake them before they.
There you go.
I'm not on that.
Well, thanks everyone for joining. I'll email you all the recording. Bye for now.
Bye.
Hey, thanks,
Thanks
guys.
everyone. Thank you for
Nice
coming.
to see everyone.
Thank you.